When I was a little boy, I don't know, however old you are, where you still cry when you hear bad news. And my older brother Richard said, "Hey, David, you're retarded."
Family, family, they're mine like it or not.
Well, at our house, if you're shirking responsibility,
Which I do often.
yes, in sort of a lazy manner, we named it pulling an Uncle Richard, being Uncle Richard, where's Uncle Richard?
That's okay, 'cause I always say they're the only ones I got.
Richard was about 2, and I would leave them in the little study on Moreland while I was working in the kitchen, David with his bottle and Richard playing nearby, and I would hear David crying. So I would start toward the study, and when I got to the door, David would stop, and he was just fine. He was still had his bottle.
And I said, "I am not retarded." And he said, "No, you're retarded." And so I went down to Mom and Dad, and I was crying, and I said, "Richard told me I'm retarded." And they said, "No, honey, you're not retarded. You know, go back upstairs, it's fine." So
David Hall said you were the best ever at leaving when there was work to be done.
yeah.
It's like an art form.
So I went back upstairs and I told Richard, "Ha ha ha, I'm not retarded." Dad, Mom said I'm not retarded. And Richard said, "What do you think they're going to say? Of course they're not going to say you're retarded."
I think it's possible that you are not as lazy as we assume, that you like to do work, just not
When people
difficult work.
Then I would go back to the kitchen, and pretty soon David would cry again, and so I'd go back, and he was fine by the time I got into the room.
And you can use it as a gerund, as they pointed out earlier.
Uncle Richarding.
Uncle Richarding, right. It's very popular at our house, especially with some of the younger set.
And about the 3rd time, I walked around and came in the other side of the study, and I realized that Richard was grabbing his bottle, and he was drinking it himself, and then when he thought I was coming, he was giving the bottle back.
I'm proud to be an influence on some of my nieces and nephews. In fact, it makes me a little misty.
Family, family, they're mine like it or not. That's okay, 'cause I always say they're the only ones I got.
And I said, "But I get good grades." And he said, "That's because you're in the retarded classes."